Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sex Ed for You, where research meets reality. I am Lauren.
Oh my God. The way I just placed.
Oh, you just what?
I just know what is going on. Why are so many things happening at once?
My microphone's flipping. Everything's flipping.
There's somebody mowing outside.
There's mowing. No one can hear the mowing.
Okay.
But boy, oh boy, can we hear the mowing.
We can do this.
Remember that one time there were like birds going crazy
Yeah.
outside? Hi, I'm Lauren.
This is Holland.
Welcome to Sex Ed for You, where research meets reality.
This is the podcast for people who want to date, have great sex that is safe, fun, and enjoyable.
We want to empower our listeners to make informed decisions that lead to values-based living. I am a certified holistic sexuality educator, and I work with individuals, partners, and parents to help them make comprehensive decisions for themselves regarding sex.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Holland's got a degree in public health, and she's brilliant.
This morning I'm just chaotic, though.
There's a lot of chaos. The things people don't see behind the screens.
There's a lot of that.
There's a lot of things that happen in this room.
Yes.
And someone's mowing the yard right now.
Yes.
And we're trying to stay focused.
Laser focus on
So
you.
focused. So where we left off recently was... So this is what happens, y'all.
Okay.
Holland gets to this point where she's like, I'm done. And then the universe is like, great. Here, now we'll change things for you. I've watched it happen so many times in her life, and I've only been in her life for a short amount of time comparatively. She did it a couple of months ago where she was done living in her space. She said this out loud. You all heard it. Burst in the house, said this thing. She has another apartment that she's about to move into. So cool. Well, literally, I think it was on her way to Roanoke. I do.
Maybe, yeah.
It was like that recently. She was like, I'm so fed up with like lack of dating opportunities and like things that had begun and yada, yada. Then all of a sudden, boom, like all these dates, all of these, like it's the era of like opportunity.
Yeah, there were a lot of opportunities.
Opportunity.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like, oh, wow, this is like your forever person.
Yeah, no.
But so where we last left off was Holland was going to go out on a date with a person that she had kind of been set up with.
Yes.
Which was different. This is the first time here,
I've
aside
been
from OG, aside from like, yeah. Aside from that time, way back.
So this is the second time I've ever been set up in my life. Ever.
First time.
First time did not go well. Second time, it's going fine. I don't know how one measures fine, but...
Well, but I mean, you were just telling me a little bit before we hopped in the chairs. And what I think is so fascinating is the way it kind of aligns with our mission statement, this whole informed decision in order to do values aligned, right? To align the longings. We talk about these things all the time. You made a whole list of things to like check into before you date a person.
Mm-hmm. I literally pulled up the PDF on this date.
Did you seriously?
Yes, I did.
Good job.
I forgot to tell you that.
I did not hear that part.
I literally pulled up the PDF that we made. I will also link it in the show notes, but I pulled it up. It was the questions to consider for potential partnership. We made it a while ago.
Yeah.
It's like 20 questions.
It's good.
Yeah, it's really good. I brought it up, and those were the questions because I wanted to make sure that I hit all my bases. So I just like brought it up before I pulled up to the date and was like, what conversation topics are important to me?
I think this is so cool. Okay. I want to hear about the questions, but then what I want to get into is I think there are reasons why people don't ask these questions. Mm-hmm. So I want to hear why you felt so empowered to be so bold.
Because I'm really tired of dating people that don't align with my values. It's exhausting.
Mic drop.
It's just like I've done it for 23 years of my life. There have been the few people who do align, but I don't think I was prioritizing that. I was prioritizing like wanting to be loved rather than wanting a relationship that aligns with who I am and what I want out of life. I think it also has to do with the fact that I'm looking for like a partner.
Yeah.
I want someone to do life with. I want someone who aligns with me. I am not just looking to like, I don't know, have a casual relationship that, I don't know.
Well, we've talked about on here that meets a human need, right? Of closeness, of physical companionship, of sex, right? Of orgasm, of there are many reasons to,
My thing is, okay, because you're right. It's not that I'm not looking for a casual relationship. My thing is, I prefer to know out the gate whether we're going to align like long term. And if we're not, then if we both agree that a casual relationship is fine for like the time being, then that is like perfect for me. That works great. Have history with that. But like, it's the whole not knowing whether or not values align and whether or not it's going to work out long term, whether or not like we both want that. That part I don't like. I would really prefer to just figure it out and then we can go from there.
Oh, yeah, that's so ethical of you. It saves everybody a lot of time.
And pain.
Yes.
And so much pain.
You know what I'm thinking of, though? It takes a lot of the drama out of it. Think about how many people go on dates and then spend hours talking with their friend group about all the questions, all of the mysteries, I almost sent you a thing the other day, which was like a group of friends putting the text up on, they had cast
on
it.
the TV.
Have you seen this?
Yeah.
And they're all talking about how to respond, what to respond, because nobody knows. Everybody's trying to guess what that person would want. Yeah. And look at Holland using Wheel of Consent to be like, what do you want?
I just asked.
Yeah.
Because, okay, yes, it takes out the drama, so it takes out some excitement and some of those cornerstones. But it comes back in other ways. Yes. Like, I promise you, it's not, you're not just removing all excitement from your life. Like, this person, yeah, we'll get to there. I'm just saying, there is other excitement that will come in. It is just a different flavor.
Yeah, I think you get the excitement in ways that both parties are, like, excited about and consenting in, too. Yeah. I think that you and I have said this on so many episodes that we can do friendship differently. We can do things differently. There are other things we can connect with our friends about post-date other than, oh, well, it just left me with so many questions. And it's like, well, what? And then everybody talks about their different angle of the thing. And I'm like, it's fine. It's fun. It's lovely. Yeah. It's also a form of this, like, because this is very dramatic, but almost trauma bonding, right? Yeah. Of, oh, let's connect over an anxiety-provoking thing. And what I find so admirable about you is Holland is not about the anxiety in her life. Holland is about less anxiety.
I've already had enough.
She's done. She's done with anxiety. So she's like, no, I'm gonna, like, no.
Yep. And I still had a 3-hour like friend date afterwards with the friend that set us up and like told her everything and was able to have like a really fun conversation about it. But the thing was, it's just centered around a different theme of like, oh, well, this is what I found out about him. This is what I found out about myself. And I don't think it's going to work out. But we got to have a fun conversation about why it's not going to work out. It's just
beautiful.
Different.
It's beautiful. I do love it. I really do.
It's a fun time.
Okay, so how comfortable do you feel kind of taking everybody through what you're learning about yourself and this other person? Because you and I have been chatting about that every human being is deserving of respect regarding their own value system. Sure. This is not, oh, let's find out what somebody's made of and then hate on them. No. Yeah, so what are you finding out?
Ooh. I think it has been really interesting, partially because I have been so like emboldened to ask these questions so directly. Like I almost just have been giving like a tiny little disclaimer. I'll be like, okay, I have some hard-hitting questions. How do you feel about that? And then he said, go for it. And I just started asking the hard questions. And it was really fun for me. And I think I learned, well, to be fair, though, this is just me. And I think in some way, it's so beautiful because I'm finally letting myself embrace that I can just be someone who wants to talk about heavy shit. Yeah. I'm allowed to be that person. Yeah. I don't have to talk about the sports if I don't want to. Mm-hmm. I don't have to talk about whatever their hobbies are. Mm-hmm. Like, I can just be someone who wants deep, meaningful, thought-provoking philosophy and psychology-centered conversations because there are people in the world that also feel that way. so it's been really cool because, yes, I'm asking these questions to figure out if our values align and if the partnership will work. But I think also I'm like stepping into what we talked about last time of like flirting in a way that aligns with me. I have felt so much more comfortable flirting with this person because I am like, oh no, like this is me. I'm flirting in a way that aligns with me. So I'm learning that I can just be myself.
It's a really great self too.
Thanks.
I really think it is. I know we need to do a whole nother episode on Bridgerton season 3.
Yeah.
But this makes me think of Penelope's kind of conundrum. I'm not finished yet, of wanting to be seen inside the partnership too, right? And we are done. We live in 2024 with this whole women's interests, passions being on the back burner.
Right.
I absolutely think that we should make space and take space inside of initial dates. And predominantly still, women have to like take space. And so I'm just so proud of you because you definitely make space for other people. You don't dominate conversation. So I'm just so glad that you're entering in with like, hey, I got some questions.
Hello. I have a PDF.
Let me just casually pull this up on my phone. I hope the rest of you are doing this too. When you download our documents and we see you, I hope you're pulling them up on your phones mid-date because it's really fun.
Or just read it in the car on the way over. Mm-hmm. That's what I did.
I've always pulled up things and read them, and it's fun to me. So what are some things that you're like kind of relieved that you're finding out this soon? You guys have gone on 2 dates now?
Yeah.
Dates,
2.5.
hangouts. Yeah. And yeah, how have, because tell them what happened last night.
There was a cockroach in my apartment. And y'all, if there's one thing to know about me, I'm a badass bitch.
Such a badass.
The second thing to know about me, I am terrified of bugs to the point that I'm pretty sure it's like bordering a phobia. I cannot be in the same room with one. I will scream like a tiny little girl and run away or set the house on fire. One of the two things is going to occur. So I saw this cockroach, freaked the fuck out, and sent everyone an SOS. Literally, like the top probably 6 people that were in my texts all got a video of this cockroach. And I said, help me now. He actually came. He actually came to my apartment to help me with the cockroach. So that's the half date.
Not I, who was tucked away in my bed.
Across the street. He drove from 20 minutes away.
I just said, no.
He said, oh dear, that's so unfortunate. Hope you live.
So mean.
It was this big. That cockroach, I swear to God, it was like 4 inches long.
It was so big. Yeah. Okay. That's gross. But yeah, so that was like the half date.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was like at 10 something at night. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, what types of things are you finding out? And again, this doesn't need to be a person smashing thing. I think this is what's so cool about discovering who someone is that it actually allows them to retain a sense of agency early on when we're getting to know someone. Mm-hmm. This is a human right. So anyway, continue.
Well, I think it's different too, for me at least, when I'm going into a date that's been set up by a friend. Because there's already, not that I don't have respect for all people, but there is a higher level of respect when I'm saying, oh, this is a friend of my friend.
Yeah.
This is someone that they value and like she's just spoken really highly of this person. And so I know that this person's a really good person. And unlike on a dating app where I'm kind of leery of like, I don't know if this person's going to be safe even to be around. Like, I wouldn't bring someone to my apartment. That man would not have known my address if he had already not had like, you know?
Yeah.
So there's like, he's almost like past the first stage of like vetting. Mm-hmm. And so in that specific situation, I'm going in with like a more open heart.
Cool.
To get to know and to listen in a way that is probably more understanding than I would to a Tinder date. So yeah, we went in and I was just asking questions about like, I want to know what drives people. The person that I'm dating, I want to know what do you think life is about? You know, casual things. And so I end up finding out about like religion and politics and oh gosh, just other really like, what do you think partnership looks like? What do you want out of a marriage? What do you want out of sexual experiences. Things like this are so important to me. And it's so fun to hear about other people's belief systems, even if I don't agree with them. Especially Christianity. This person is Christian, and I used to be a Christian, so I have some background on it, obviously. But I was also never the person who read their Bible every night. And so often, most times when I run into a Christian and we're having these conversations, they know more than I do about the religion because I have A, either blocked it out, or B, never cared enough to store it. So that information does not live in my head. And so getting to have these conversations with someone tells me so much about them, the way they respond to my questions, the way they carry themselves when speaking about their religion and other religions. Because of course I'll always throw in, well, I have crystals and tarot cards. I love my essential oils and my Palo Santo. And I don't even really heavily believe in those things. But the way someone reacts to that tells me a lot about who they are. And so we just had all these fun and beautiful conversations about religion and their values and the way they see other people's value systems and belief systems. And that has shown me just so many beautiful sides of what they want out of life.
Did you think in the back of your mind at all, these conversations might go back to the friends that introduced you to this person?
No.
Interesting. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it could.
Yeah.
But
I didn't know if that played a role at all. Yeah, that's cool.
Mm-mm. Also because, though, I know that the friend that introduced us, we've had similar conversations. Yeah. And so they know, she knows
that's 100%. What I was gonna say, that they know you.
Yeah.
And I didn't think from that angle as much as I wondered if it played into it all, how one carries thyself.
I think if anything, it was just kind of what I said earlier about being more open-hearted and being more understanding almost.
Cool. Yeah.
You not have a little leeway as far as I don't know.
You've in essence, this person has stood the test of time.
Yes.
With these other humans. So your small interactions can have some color from other things just because, I get that. I get that a lot.
So I think that's colors the conversations, but there's definitely not any fear of repercussions necessarily of the conversations because I don't carry myself in a way that I think would, create any consequences or repercussions, but also because everyone in this situation is very aware of who I am.
Which is another perk. We talked about this a lot last time of leading with ourselves. I think it's interesting. I'm doing a lot of work on attachment styles right now. And I would definitely fall into the avoidant, the dismissive places on attachment scales and all of these things. And I think it's really interesting to go back in time, in the workbook that I'm working through is asking me this, kind of think through past relationships, all these types of things. Were you anxious in these relationships, or were you dismissive and avoidant of your own emotions and feelings? And absolutely. And I was able to trace it back all the way to childhood. And two things. One, there was a lot going on in my home life where I needed to be independent and self-sufficient. And then two, I got praised, especially by my father. The more I showed up and achieved and was highly responsible and hit these goals, I got more attention. And so the less I needed and the more I accomplished, the more a man wanted me around. Which now, when I go back and look at things, whether it's my first husband, whether it's the men I dated or slept with in between, I'm like, oh, look at how I did that. Look at how I, didn't use my voice, didn't take space as much as I dismissed my own needs. And so I just really applaud you for leading with you, because what I didn't know I was doing was behaving non-consensually, almost manipulatively, in order to say, keep me around, please. Right? I'll be so little. I will be not at all. I want to get to, you, I think, said to this human, do you think we're compatible? And I had, during my slut era, conversations with men over our compatibility. And they so kindly were like, hey, Lauren, I don't think we're compatible. And I was brokenhearted. And because in essence, my body felt that I hadn't done enough to be choosable, which in my psyche was be less. Sweet girl. So yay. So lead us through your healthy version of having the, hey, you think we're compatible? How did this come up?
They went to the bathroom and I said, what better time than when they return?
I just wish I could have been there.
Like you returned from the
I
bathroom.
could have been the cockroach just watching.
I would have crushed you. Yeah, I think part of me struggles with like weird conversation transitions, if that makes
Why
sense.
not?
So
No.
like if there's like a lull in conversation, that's when I like go in with like a next question.
Okay.
I'm very much about like the flow of the vibe.
Yeah, let's move it on.
So if there's like an interruption, like a bathroom break, or I'm going to go grab water or something, I'm like, okay, what do I want to ask?
Mm-hmm.
Like my brain immediately goes to what's our next topic when they return. And so he went to the bathroom and I was like, okay, we've talked about everything under the sun. I don't think this is long-term compatible. I don't want to like lead him on. And I just was like, we need to have this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
What better time than now?
No, it's a great time.
And so he came back and I was like, okay, heavy hitting question, part 2. I always like kind of give it a little bit of a thing. Like, I don't know why. I think it helps me feel better.
Yeah. You're like, this is what's about to come.
Because it's really hard to just be like, you know?
I
don't
think
know.
it's beautiful. It's like a lead in. Yeah.
So I give my little disclaimer. Hey, heavy hitting question coming your way in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Do you think we're compatible? And yeah, it was such a fun conversation to have. I will say I do still feel that feeling that like, even though I went into this question knowing we are not compatible, knowing that even if he said, well, maybe we could make it work if you became a Christian, like even if that was what had come out of his mouth, I still would have said we're not compatible. And yet my body, when he said, no, we're not long-term compatible, I still felt that like, it still hurts. I think I don't know what it is. I don't know if everybody's just built this way and it's just a little bit of, I just want to be chosen.
And belonging. And I think we're meant for community. I think we're meant. Yeah.
It's so hear me when I say this conversation is not easy peasy, butter, lemon squeezy, whatever. Butter. Lemon squeezy. Butter lemon. I'm hungry. I want some butter lemon wings. I think that's literally what was coming to my head. Anyway, this conversation is not easy peasy lemon squeezy. It is still a little difficult, even if you literally know the outcome you want. It's still hurt a little bit, but the conversation, it would only hurt for like a boom, just 1 second of like, oh, okay. And then we had a conversation and said, this is why. You're a Christian, I'm not. You want a Christian partner. That's not even that. It was that you want a Christian partner. And I think that's beautiful and you deserve that. And I want someone who supports me and my beliefs. And if I want to become a tarot reader for the rest of my life, which I don't, but like if I did.
You'd be really good.
Thanks. If I ever decided to pursue that passion. So yeah, the conversation was beautiful and it just came up because I decided it was time for it to come up.
Well, then you, in essence, aligned your longings, right? You aligned and clarified what this is and what it is not. And you allowed both of you to say, okay, then this can be what it is. Being in relationship with people who have different opinions and desires than us is not bad. To have friends who just choose other things. It's actually, I think, the way forward in this world for us to be able to sit in community with those who disagree with us. And it's beautiful. But it's not saying, oh, one of us has hopes for this and the other one has hopes for this. And now we're just constantly disappointing and hurting each other.
And over compromising.
Yeah. Or feeling misled or manipulated or led on or something like that.
Right.
And yeah, no, it gives opportunity to be like, you're a good person, like, and you deserve to be protected. It's wild. Yeah. Proud of you.
Thanks.
Really proud of you. Way to use your own resources.
It's crazy. This is, y'all, every single time I date, I feel like I've like gone to a different level.
Yeah, we've gotten to watch you.
It's weird.
In real time.
Absolutely wild. I need to go back and watch like Chainsaw Man episode.
Literally, you should, because you carry yourself there. I'm going to start crying. Like, you are different, which I hope, audience, that you're watching, we are able to. I think, what's that research that we only use, like, how much of our brains?
10%.
Yeah. We are so able to heal and expand and change and morph. And if anyone has ever said to a single audience member that you can't, like, fuck them. Sorry. We are so able to become more expansive, generative versions of ourselves. And we've all watched you do it in real time, and it's phenomenal. And it can be, this is the thing, informed decisions that lead to values-aligned living. Holland doesn't need to become somebody else. You just need to become you, more you. And it's wild. Each of you deserves the same thing too. And we do that through learning, but also through living.
I fully agree.
Right? Like,
yes.
Yeah.
The experiences that I've been through in the past few months have shaped me in a way that I would not be. I mean, I'm sure I would have evolved into something else, sure. But like the person that I am today is a product of the experiences I've been through, the tools that I have used, and the people that I've been surrounded by during those experiences. Probably a few more other things, but those are the three main.
Yeah. Remember when I was on that kick with that like cell biologist person?
Yeah.
And we were talking about, I think on an episode, about how our atmosphere, like the container that we're in,
yes,
matters so much. And yes, when you and I will talk about, friend groups, right? And places of employment and how you're resting, home life, these things matter. We've got to let them matter so that we can change how we go forth in the world. We're not stuck. We are not victims in our stories. We are truly the choice makers. And those choices can be this small. I had a client last week who was, said, Lauren, I wish you could just tell me what to do. And I said, I know too. I know. Like, I wish I could just give you some magic spell. And I can tell you like one or two things. And I know they seem small, but they add up. Like this change empowers us. It's a growth mindset stuff too. When we've done one positive things for ourselves, then we're like, oh, I did that. And now I could do this thing and I could do that thing. Lots of clients and I right now are talking about boundaries, and I've termed them, maybe somebody else has used this term, but micro boundaries. Oh yeah. Like it's very clear sometimes when you or I are like seeing us into a situation, like, oh my God, that human being is really not good in that person's life. But to just like cut somebody out is I believe that we all deserve so many relationships, and it's not always necessary to cut someone out of our lives. It's so drastic. I think that these micro boundaries, which are really just my way of saying like wheel of consent work, right? Like just really saying what you want from a person and seeing what they do back, is fascinating. And they are very little things. Like I'm saying to people, well, why don't you just give so-and-so an amount of time to fulfill this request? And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, just make it time bound. That's what we do in public health.
It is.
We do measurable goals that are time bound.
Yes.
So say by the end of the week, if I could hear back from you. And then if they don't, you've learned something. You've got some data. And I love little things like this because we then get to collect the data, make a different decision. And then bada bing, bada boom, a year later, we're a different person. Again, yes, I wish for everybody there was like, okay, we don't go through that door, we go through this door, and then our life is different. That'd be lovely, but it doesn't really look like that. When you look back over, I don't know, it's dating since you've been in Central Virginia. What do you think, what are some of the biggest changes?
Oh.
Because it's almost been a year.
It has. That's batshit crazy. 1 year of dating in Virginia. So many things. I think all of it's internal. I don't think a single thing externally has changed. It's all been like my mindset, my approach, my perspective. I think going to New York and seeing people there has changed a lot for me, because I grew up in a small town, and this is a small town, and my college was not a small town, but like all of the people there they all were very similar. Like I've always just been surrounded by what felt like very similar people. Like choices were narrow. Going to New York, I saw so many different beautiful people that were just so themselves. So going in January and then going in May and turning on the dating apps changed a lot for me. I don't even know if I've told you this. But like just seeing the different types of people that were interested in me. Because you know how Hinge works. Like you see your likes, people who have liked you. And it broadened my idea of who is available to me, as weird as that sounds. But like, I've historically dated tall white men. And like, because that's all who's ever been shown interest in me. That's all I've been surrounded by, being in Texas, being in Virginia. Like there just has not been a variety of people who felt like they were an option for me. And then going to New York and having people of all different bodies, of all different races, of all different religions and beliefs and sexualities and presentations and genders, like essentially putting their hat in the ring and saying like, I think you and I could work. I was like, oh, like I have a much wider choice variety than I've ever thought I did. It just really opened my mindset. And that was a huge perspective shift for me. Like, I don't have to just go down this one path. There's so many other options. And then that really helped me to embrace, like, even the person that I've been chatting with. There's someone I met on Hinge in New York. Obviously, they're 8 hours away. So, like, we're not meeting each other. But we've been, like, texting. And we have such good like banter and conversation, and they look completely different than someone I have typically dated. And like having this relationship has in and of itself shown me like, Holland, you can want someone you are attracted to both intellectually, physically, and they can be different than what you've known. And that has changed a lot for me. So that's a big one. I think dating the person that didn't work out in the fall, I think that was big for me, because it was like the final straw of like, Holland, you need to realize that you're allowed to want what you want. You are allowed to but like you are allowed to have commitment. You are allowed to have someone who works as hard as you in a relationship. You are allowed to have someone who wants you specifically. So just all of the experiences I've had in the past year have culminated into this like confidence of, Holland, you deserve what you want. Weirdly enough, even working in this field, like working in sexuality, having been such a patron of sexuality and psychology literally my whole life, it still took me this long to realize, Holland, you're allowed to want what you want.
I know you have always like gotten along with much other people, but I do always like to remind you that you're 23. It's like, it is such a beautiful place. I feel like we talk about this every episode, right? That that is part of psychological development right now. Like you in it. And it's really fucking cool to be watching. Like, whoa, yeah, this is what science says that her brain should be doing right now. Have we talked about the fact that I kind of almost did the same thing, that I broadened when I was in my slut era? I don't even know how, but somehow, I do know how. I would just pick a zip code and I would just pretend to be in this zip code. So at one point I was talking to somebody in West Virginia, in Florida, and in New York, all three. And it was so weird to hear you say this, because what it did, they were all different, very different people. would say, there's people everywhere. It had a different effect on me, but it in essence did the same thing of your net is not this big, honey. Your net is that big. It just might look a little different as you get to it, but no. Something's going to happen and you're going to find someone because look at these fun guys you found everywhere. It was so cool. Yeah. All different types, all different ethnicities and backgrounds and face structures and ages. It was so fun and healing to go, no. It is not just who's in one's little local community. And I want any of our listeners who are in small towns in the United States to remember that we are not bound by these little things. We are not. The whole world is out there for us. We might have to be a little creative. We really might. But dream big for yourselves because there's somebody out there too looking for someone who gives a shit. Yes. And I think that's what makes me so excited for whoever gets to partner with you in this upcoming season. They're going to be so relieved. Like, oh my God, someone who also likes to have like psychology related questions and know someone deeper. And it's just going to be so freaking cool. We can't hide that piece because then somebody else isn't going to see it. Yep. We say this in Hemlock all the time, right? This idea of we shine our light so that those who are looking for that can be drawn to us. We cannot be sheepish about these people that we are. Even, let those freak flags fly because there are more freaks like that. Is 100% what I love about Manhattan is it is the city of dreamers. People are coming there because they have some dream. And there are just so many different types of folks that it's like drinking from this fountain of differences. It's like, thank you.
It's just such a beautiful, colorful, like representation of humanity. Mm-hmm. And I think it's easier almost to switch the perspective on I want to be who I want to be, right? Mm-hmm. Because I want to attract the person I want. But I have to think of it of my person is out there somewhere being themselves and I'm going to find them because they're being themselves. But if they were hiding that part of themselves, I wouldn't be attracted to them. So therefore I have to have my craziness out so that our craziness can match each other.
Yes.
Because if I'm hiding my craziness that they're attracted to, then we're never going to find each other.
Right.
We all have to really, truly be ourselves to find somebody who matches our truest self, because otherwise it's false advertising, baby. Like you're going to get in there and then you're going to be like, oh, I can't even be myself within this partnership. Well, babe, you false advertised.
Ooh. You know how I've been sitting with that circle of the circles of sexuality, that's sexualization. Mm-hmm. And it's the use of sex to manipulate or control. Mm-hmm. Would it be sound logic at all to say that when we conform ourselves into society's sexualized picture of ourselves, that we are in essence manipulating or controlling somebody else's view of us?
100%. Yes.
Right? Instead of just being like, no, this is me and my sexy, right?
Yeah.
This is my freaky sexy and I love it.
Yeah.
Whether that is chosen monogamy, whether that is heteronormativity, whether that is this beautiful queer existence. Yeah, that society does not get to define our sexual picture, including the mind and the heart and the personality that we bring to sexual experiences. No, because if we are contriving ourselves into their boxes, we are manipulating ourselves and manipulating someone else's observation of us, which you're exactly right, is false advertising. Mm-hmm. We don't need to do it.
And it creates, look at all the relationships that we know where they're so unhappy.
Yes.
Like, I can't be myself. I don't feel like this person brings out the best in me. I don't feel like I can embrace these aspects of myself, A, B, and C. The first thing I think of is, well, what was your dating like? What did you, when you were quote unquote talking, because that's the dating now, I guess, when you were talking, what did you tell this person about yourself?
Right.
What did they tell you about themselves? Did you conform and say, oh yeah, I love sports so much. I can't wait to watch NFL Sunday every Sunday and sit there with you and do fantasy football and do baseball and is that what you did? Because if you did that, then that's what they thought they were getting in relationship.
I see this so often with the amount of sex people have when they're talking. And then I will have one of the parties in my office or on Zoom going, Lauren, when we were first dating, they wanted sex all the time. We come to find out, no, the person was just giving that because they thought that that was a part of like early dating.
Oh, yikes. Oh, that feels icky.
Y'all don't do that. It's, in school, I'm back at taking some classes to get a new certification, y'all. One of the professors on Sunday was saying, you know, when you hear the word sex, what do you think of? Like when you hear sex, what do you think of? And I think that would be a far more juicier question to be asking than having inferred. It could be totally consensual. Like, please hear me. This is consensual sex these folks were having. Someone was just feigning a lot more interest than they actually had interest. Y'all, people can have sex lots or just littles and be perfectly happy. This is not something where we need to get like this many times. Somebody said the other week, they're newly dating and they said, yeah, I've never turned them down. Like, I don't ever want to turn them down. And that's sweet. That's sweet. I know a lot of people who date people who have been divorced, and the person who's been divorced says, yeah, my ex always turned my request for sex down. And so then this person dating them says, okay, I'll just never do that. Yeah, we can always turn down sex. It's totally fine. We can always suggest something else. I always say it's not what you don't want, it's what you do want instead. You can always say, you know what, I'm really not in the mood for that, but like, how about some cuddles? How about a back scratch? How about,
How about I watch you with your vibrator?
Yes.
Like, literally, there's so many options.
How about mutual masturbation? How about I kiss you and you jerk off? Like, there's so many. How about you put some porn on? There's so many things
options.
We can
Ask
do.
us about options.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get creative.
But let's not pretend. Let's all make a pact with Holland as our like beacon. She's waving the flag of no more manipulating ourselves into versions of ourselves we don't even know in order to be chosen. And like we've both said, that is hard. That can be a little blow, but that little blow to the self-esteem is far less than the one down the line.
Yes. It's far less than the exhaustion that you will experience from pretending to be someone you are not in order to conform to a relationship that is not for you.
Boom.
Just like, I know this is antiquated, but my mom always told me growing up, you're either going to get married or you're going to break up. That's how relationships are. You know? Okay, I get that Lauren's face, but hear me out. In smaller contexts, it is somewhat true. You're either going to be together or you're not.
Yeah.
Would you like to find out now before the harm? Would you like to prevent yourself from this harm that's going to happen when you've invested, when you've merged friend groups, when you've introduced them to your family, when you've decided that you love this person despite all of these longings that don't align? Do you want to do all of that and then break up because you were never aligned in the beginning? Or do you want to sit there and say, this isn't going to work out, but I'll introduce you to my friends and my family as a friend, or as someone, or we'll just be friends with benefits, or we'll do, like, define your relationship however you want, but you're saving yourself and this person so much harm if you just realize we're either going to be together or we're not. You only have two options. Yes, it's antiquated.
No, it totally works.
It's just totally a perspective I think we could all maybe look at.
I do too.
Like, do I see myself with this person forever?
Yes.
Or do I not want that? Or are we in like I don't know.
No, it's the same thing as when I say choose partnership, right? Because we are choosing. We are always choosing. So this whole, I didn't have a choice. Yeah, huh? Yes, you did.
Yes, you did.
Yes, you did. So we are either choosing to stay or we can choose to go.
Yeah.
That is totally fine.
You can choose a fun in between that you create for yourself consensually through communication.
My mom used to say, this was her antiquated one, oh, Lauren, you could marry a brick.
What does that mean?
That, like, basically...
Like you bring everything to the relationship?
No, like...
You could marry a brick.
Like, if you're committed enough, you could say, I am married to this brick. I am putting... No, God.
Did she ever elaborate on that? No. I'm so confused. You could marry... Because I almost took it as like you have so much personality and amazingness that you don't really need anybody that does anything.
No, it's kind of like marriage is just a commitment. And so, you know, basically it's about the work that you put in. And you could say, I am married to this brick, and you could love that brick so much. And so you could do it. You could be married to this brick. I'm going to go look up that saying now.
Yeah, I'm confused. I don't really know what's happening.
I like your mom's better.
No, I like that one. It's quirky. You could marry a brick.
Lauren, you could marry a brick. I can literally hear her saying it.
You changed your voice when you said it. It kind of sounded like your mom.
Uh-huh. She's dead, y'all. Very dead. Very, very dead. She's been in the ground for so many years. So many years. Okay. On that note, I think we can wrap up this podcast. It's a very informative podcast. Antiquated sayings and all. Any closing thoughts? Any wrap-ups?
Be yourself, my friends. Mm-hmm. You're going to do the world a service and yourself a service by just being who you want to be.
Yes.
And it's fun.
Thanks for coming to this episode of Sex Ed for You, where research meets reality. Oh, if you want to do more work like this, you are welcome to go to sexedforyou.com/free consult. And you can ask Holland if you can have a free consult with me. This happens all the time. It's very fun. If she clicks approve, you'll end up on my calendar and you and I will talk. We'll talk for about 15 minutes and you can tell me what's up in your life and I will let you know how I work with clients. We'll have a very consensual conversation and then we'll decide if we're a good fit to work together. Basically this in a mini version.
Yeah.
And it's super fun. But there's so many other ways to keep in touch with us. You can go to sex_ed_for_you on Instagram. Obviously, you can subscribe to YouTube and Spotify and all those awesome things. Yeah, we're so glad you're here.
Yeah, these are our opinions and lived experiences, mostly mine today, but they are just ours. And if you don't like them, that's totally fine. You don't have to listen. That's a beautiful thing about autonomy. Yeah, send us questions at admin@sexedforyou.com if you would like for us to talk about something.
Yeah, and Holland's download, you know, the one that she pulled up on her date, that's going to be available.
Yes.
Down below in the captiones.
What should we make the code?
Brick.
Brick. She's a brick.
House.